Nazeistra'S Devotion is an amazing hand cannon in the First Descendant, and you're gonna absolutely love this. Even when you're playing solo and you're on the back foot against enemies, pulling out the Nazeistra'S Devotion hand cannon can literally save the situation. And it is unreal at destroying bosses. Poor Devourer. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Worthy Prince coming at you with another First Descendant video, and today, guys, I'm going to be talking to you about the Nazeistra'S Devotion. I'm going to be giving you my build guide on this gun to output some extremely good damage when you're attacking enemies. It's also pretty solid as a boss weapon as well. If you're attacking bosses, you're going to be doing some pretty good damage with this also. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Nazeistra'S Devotion is a really solid hand cannon, and I mean, you want to build into both critical hit rate and critical hit damage on this gun, as well as weak point damage also, because once the multipliers start adding up between the two of those, you get some pretty crazy numbers when you start hitting enemies' weak spots. And going over to the unique ability, which is called Fanaticism. This is really nice. You're going to have a debuff when you first start the gun off. You're going to have like a negative aim recovery speed, which is going to be removed as you max the gun out by getting the duplicates. But one thing you do get here is a devotion mark when you hit an enemy's weak spot. This is why you want to build into that weak spot damage a lot, because hitting a weak spot is going to add a devotion mark, which is going to be 3 seconds of defense minus 30%. So with much more defense reduced on the enemy, you're going to be doing more damage. It also has another funky ability, which is on hitting an ally. So you can shoot one of your team, and if you've got the MP in your MP bar, it will take 65 and it will recover 30% of your teammate's shields. It's not really a feature I really kind of remember when I'm fighting or focus on, but it is not just worth noting that it's something that you can also do with this gun. Looking over the modules, yes guys, I've put 8 sockets in this gun. I know I'm insane, but I wanted to get the most out of it and push it to its absolute limit of what kind of damage I can get out of this. And I think I have a very optimal build here. There is some things I think I could still tweak, but what I've got here does work really well. So let's just take a look and see what we're coming in with. We're coming in with better insight and better concentration. That's where we're going to get the majority of our firearm critical hit rate and firearm critical hit damage stats. Weak point sight, because we want to build into the weak point damage. Rifling reinforcement to give us extra firearm attack. I've got electric enhancement in. I chose to go with an electric enhancement. It's always good to have an enhancement. You don't have to have electric. You could use toxic or fire or whatever you want to use. I decided to go electric on my one. Also, insight focus for firearm critical hit rate and some firearm critical hit damage. I wanted to ramp that up a little bit more, so I brought in insight focus. Commando marksmanship, coming in with a decent amount of firearm critical hit damage and a little bit of firearm attack. So you can see I really pushed into that crit on this a lot. Action and reaction giving me some extra amounts of firearm attack. I love this mod, it's a really good one. Focus fire for extra weak point damage and firearm critical hit damage 4%. Now, there is a couple of mods which you could switch out, and I mean, it's optional. You could go for have aiming. You'll notice here that I have this maxed out because I wanted to see if it would be worthwhile using have aiming over focus fire, because focus fire comes with 20% weak point damage and have aiming has 40% weak point damage. But my issue with have aiming is the accuracy minus 20. It does take quite a bit of your accuracy away, so I decided not to go ahead and use that in the end. I mean, I may lose a little bit of damage, but that's fine. I'd rather lose a little bit of damage and have the consistency of having better aim shots. And I don't want to use another mod slot to kind of enhance my aim anymore, because I'll be taken away from the damage I could be bringing in. So yes, I do lose a little bit of damage by using focus fire, but I think not having that that penalty of accuracy is worth it, because having the negative accuracy is going to widen your reticle, which means you're going to have chances of missing where you're actually shooting. Now, talking about the gold mod, now this is a bit of a controversial one. I think it's going to be a little bit controversial because there's a couple of really good mods that go well here. Now, I chose weak point expansion. I'm a big fan of this mod. It goes into the whole weak point build we're doing here. It adds a lot. I think on weak point hit, you get damage plus 140%, and at maxed out, it's only a 5-second cooldown, and so you get these big hits quite consistently. And that's why I really like that. Now, if you don't, and also I like seeing big numbers coming up on the screen. It makes me happy. So seeing big numbers, and this does let you generate some pretty big numbers. But if you don't want that, if you want to be more efficient and go on the side of consistency, you could put in real life fighter. This is the other option. Again, you have that accuracy of 20% you'll lose, but this does allow you to kind of have maybe a little bit more consistent, slightly higher damage over a course of a battle. But for me personally, I would much rather have weak point expansion, just knowing that on the next weak point hit, the next headshot or weak point hit on a boss, I'm going to get that extra damage every 5 seconds. To me, that is absolutely worth it. So I personally prefer weak point expansion, but real life fighter is also definitely another potential option for this gun. So if we take a look at the overall stats of this gun, you can see we're sitting on 66.6 critical hit rate, which is kind of gnarly. It's the devil's gun, 666. And if we take a look at the weak point damage, we're at 5x here now, which is kind of crazy, right? 5x. Wow, that's pretty good stuff. The firearm critical hit damage is at 3.8, which is still no slouch. But yeah, 5x on weak point damage. We're going to be able to pull in some pretty good numbers here. Okay, let's look at the damage this gun can do. Now, obviously, the damage it does vary depending on what enemy you're fighting against. You know, whether you're fighting against Order of Truth, Legion of Darkness, Legion of Immortality, or a boss, whatever it is, your damage is going to fluctuate depending on what it is. So we'll just look at some of the damage we can do. So we'll look at this one first of all. I'm going to go on this Predator and have a nice little headshot and see what kind of damage we're looking at. 2.14 million. That's with the gold mod proccing there, which was pretty nice stuff. There's another 2.1, 1.29 as a standard. And you can see we're critting almost every time here because of the 66% crit rate. The yellow ones are weak numbers. Then 2.1 million again hitting nearly 1.3 million per headshot there, which is insane. 2.1 million a headshot. When you fight elites in the game, you get that headshot and that thing procs, they just vanish. They instantly die. Nazeistra'S Devotion is really good to have as a secondary weapon, but you can also use it in a main weapon, especially when you're bossing. It does really good damage against the weak points on bosses, so it allows you to conserve your ammo in your main machine gun or whatever your main weapon is, pull your Nazeistra'S out and hit the weak points, and you can break them off fairly quickly, especially when you're doing it in private. A lot of the bosses, I thought their weak points smashed off fairly quickly when I started hitting them with this hand pistol. So yeah, Nazeistra'S Devotion is extremely effective against bosses as well. I realized when I was making the video that I didn't talk about the front stats of the gun. So this is what I've got rolled on the front of the gun. Weak point damage and firearm critical hit damage. I was lucky enough to get gold rolls. I've also got firearm critical hit rate, and I've also got fire attack, which is pretty solid. I've got two lots of elements now, lightning on the mod and fire on the front. You could switch that out if you wanted to try and push the damage up a bit. You could go for firearm attack. That might potentially be a little bit better than fire attack. But overall, I'm really happy with this, and I don't want to kind of like reuse any more of my items just yet to roll it anymore. But yeah, pretty solid rolls on here, building into what we're already building into in the gun mod section. I really like how this gun is so universal. It works with all Descendants. In fact, with Bunny, I have it as my primary. You can see my reactor here I've got with Bunny. I actually have this as my primary because I run around with Electric a lot with Bunny. And when I do stop and take a shot, I want it to be an impactful shot, and this build I have with Nazeistra'S Devotion does just that. You know, if I'm running around and I stop and I drop an enemy straight in the head with this thing, it's going to be a really good damaged hit, which is what I'm looking for when I want to use my guns with Bunny. But as a secondary, I think it's a solid choice. You know, pulling it out against bosses' weak spots and stuff, pulling it out when you want to conserve ammo. It's nice to have such a hard-hitting weapon as your secondary slot. but absolutely worth farming in the game. A lot of you should have this gun. Like, a lot of you get this gun early on, but it's definitely worth putting a little bit of capacitors and the energy activators and stuff into it to expand it and get the higher level mods in to really take it to the next level. So yeah, I'm really happy with this gun. I've had it built up like this for a while. I meant to get this video up a while ago, but I just never got around to doing it. But I wanted to share my build with this because it is an absolutely solid weapon, and I hope you guys enjoy using it. So there you go, guys. That's my build on Nazeistra'S Devotion. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got more First Descendant content coming every day. So guys, I will catch you in the next one. But until then, stay safe, everyone. And of course, peace out.